Hey, Lindsay, how are you?
Awesome. I'm feeling solid today, Michelle. How are you feeling?
I'm good. I'm good. You know what I was thinking about when I was a kid, and I don't know, it was so much fun. When I was a kid, I would always play with my brother's friends. Would you play
I
with like your brother's friends? I know you have a brother too.
have a brother, but it was exactly the opposite. So I'm the
Mm.
older sister. He's the
Oh,
younger
right, because you're
brother.
the
So he
older,
would
right?
run after us. And then
Mm-hmm.
sometimes I'd be like, oh, you can't come, and then he would come in crying to our
Oh,
mom and yeah, oh geez. Yeah, kids, right? Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And you're close with your brother.
Yeah, I think I don't know if we're super close, but we have a good relationship. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like
that's good.
we're dealing with my aunt's stuff and
Mm,
dealing with our parents. People are getting
grown up
old in
things.
our lives and we're so far so good. We're doing a really good
That's good.
job of and I trust him and so I feel lucky to have a sibling that I trust
Yeah,
and love. So, yay.
yeah. Oh,
You
that's
too. You're
nice.
close to your brother too, aren't you? Really
Yeah.
close. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, we're close. We have a
That's
very
awesome.
sarcastic relationship, so I
Yeah, you've
it's
said that
it's it's
before,
hard for
Michelle.
me to not make a joke about him.
That's pretty
But
fun. That must have been
yeah,
fun growing up with that kind of
yeah.
back and forth. Yeah, that's cool. That's cool.
Yeah, it's a constant. So, but Lindsay, did you notice so I said when I was a kid, I would always play with my brother's friends. So that's what we're talking about today, the word would,
I like
because we
that.
have a great question from YouTube from Naveed Gull, and I'm excited to get into this today. We're really going to be focusing on one aspect of the word would. Lindsay, could you read the
Yeah.
question for us?
Okay, let's go into the question real quick. I'm excited because they're going to get into a little grammar here for our listeners and I know our listeners are always asking for grammar, right?
Yes.
In with a focus on connection, of course. Here we go.
Hmm.
This came from YouTube and by the way, YouTube is a great place to consume this
Hmm.
podcast, Michelle.
Hmm. That's
Right?
right. That's
Mhm.
right.
Go to YouTube, type in All Ears English. So, Naveed Ghul says, "Hi, you both are amazing. I've been learning a lot through your videos. I never thought English learning could be this easy and fun. Yay,
Aw.
Michelle. That's amazing." I love the way that Michelle says thank you.
I don't know. How do I say thank you?
I don't know. I have no idea, but
Yeah,
this
maybe
listener
like
loves
that.
that.
Anyway, well, thank you. Thank you. I
Yeah.
hope that was it.
And Naveed asks, please make a video on the usage of would in the past. All right.
Mhm.
Good question.
Okay, so this is a great question. So thank you for that question. So guys, head on over to All Ears English 1968 after you listen to this episode. It's must, should, may, and shall in English. So another good grammar type episode. So
Mm,
guys, there are tons of ways to use would in the past, but today we're going to focus on one really useful one, and then we can do follow up on other ones as well. Let
yeah.
us know if you're interested in those. But this is really wanted to keep it focused because when I started planning this episode, I realized, wait, but you can do this, this, and this, and this, and this. Let's just keep
Oh,
focus on it.
good call. Good call. We like to focus on
Yeah.
specific things. So today's episode is just about that one way, right, Michelle?
Yes. So the way that we're going to focus is about something that like you used to do in the past, something that you commonly used to do.
Okay.
Like maybe more frequently. Like it was maybe a habit or as part of your routine, whatever it is. So like my first example, when I was a kid, I would always play with my brother's friends. So I'm talking about like something that was a common occurrence. I
Okay.
remember being hit in the head many times with a basketball.
That's
so,
funny.
I'm saying that this was a frequent occurrence. So, what's another example, Lindsay?
Okay, so we do often shorten this to I'd, right, Michelle? We should make sure our listeners know that. But we'll
Yes, we're
start
gonna
with
do
would
that.
first. So here's an
Yeah.
example. She would call her mother every day when she was younger, but now she only calls once a week. Okay, so
Oh,
she would. So a habit in the past, right?
yes. Right,
Okay.
right, right. How often do you talk to your parents, Lindsay?
I talk to my parents pretty much every weekend now. Yeah.
Okay.
But not every day. I don't have time. They don't have time. I mean, no. But yeah, every weekend feels good for us. That feels like a good cadence.
So is
Yeah.
it like a long catch up then? Because if you talk, yeah,
Yeah, yeah. Somewhat long. I mean, there's not always a ton of things to say, right? But yeah, maybe 10 to 20 minutes, but
yeah.
you know, the love is there. So that's what matters.
That's what matters, exactly. So perfect. Or Here we go. Every Monday, I'd go watch my sister's softball game. So I would could be shortened to I'd. She would could be she'd, right?
That's the important piece here, guys. Be careful because we often do that, don't we, Michelle? We shorten I would to I'd.
Oh,
And
for sure.
yeah, you need the context, especially when it comes to listening. You want to be able to catch that when someone says that quickly, when a native speaker
Yeah,
says that, right?
I'd cheat, yeah. It's
Yeah.
important to be able to catch on to that. So yeah, again, this is about routine, common things you did. Like I don't know why, but why do you think we would use would? Do you think it sounds different than she called her mother every day, or she like when she was a kid she called her mother every day, or every
Hmm.
Monday she watched her sister's softball games? I'm not
Huh.
sure if I have an answer why you would use one or the other. I'm just curious, because it's saying
Yeah.
the same thing.
A good question. Essentially, you could say both, of course.
Yeah.
Would points a bit more to habits to me.
Yeah.
It is saying the
Yes.
same thing. She watched her
Yeah.
sister's softball games and she would watch, but it's like more emphasizing the habitual nature
Yeah.
of that activity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. I think so too. It makes it seem more commonplace. Like it makes it seem more
Yeah.
yeah, there's something about it.
Every Saturday, or like reflecting in a positive way on memories. Every Saturday, we would wake up at 8
Yeah.
AM. We would make pancakes as a family, and then we would go for ice cream. I don't know, just good memories conveying, setting the scene of a habit, I think, Michelle.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I like that. Yeah. So, I mean, there are times for not using would, just the regular past simple, good old faithful. And then there are times to add would. So, guys, it would be, again, would plus the base verb. Okay.
Yes, good.
So that's
Okay,
the construction.
do we have more examples for that just to make sure we know? We see how
Let's
it
do
works?
that. Lindsay, why don't you do this one?
Okay, my dog would follow me all around the house when he was a puppy. That's what dogs do, I love that.
Or does Kiefer still follow you all over?
Yeah, these days he's doing that more than he used to as a puppy, actually. He's, like,
Oh,
moved into that more, it's really cute.
how old is Kiefer now?
He's 3.5, I guess, about
Oh,
3.5
wow.
almost,
And
yeah,
when you got him, he was how old?
he was 10 weeks.
Oh my goodness.
Yes,
They're so
they
cute.
grow up
So
so fast.
they grow up so fast. Here's another one. My grandmother would write me a letter every day when I was a kid.
Oh, very nice, yeah, so maybe there's a little bit of a as I said before, a hint of nostalgia to using wood too,
Mhm.
right? As I
Mhm.
said, positive memories.
I think it's a little wistful. Like, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah, I like that use. Whereas if I said, "My grandmother wrote me a letter every day when I was a kid," that's correct,
Right.
but it's a bit more standard. It's not adding any
Yeah.
expression or feeling, right?
It's interesting how, like, a grammar that can have essentially the same meaning can have still a different feel to it. So it's
Yeah, well,
really
It's
crazy, the
it
language.
is crazy, but it makes sense because language is human, right? Human
Right.
beings are speaking this language, and that's
That's
why
right.
we at All Ears English always talk about connection, not perfection. You can't separate the language from the human beings, right?
Yeah.
And so
That's
they're always gonna add emotion to things. That's normal. Yeah,
yeah, exactly. So, Lindsay, we're about to do some conversation topics and we're going to try and use the word would.
good. Okay, I'm ready to do that, Michelle. Let's do it. Here we go.
All right. So, Lindsay, tell me about your birthdays as a kid.
Oh my gosh, my birthdays as a kid, well, a lot of times we would have my party outside, right?
Hmm.
That because I'm a summer birthday, yay for Leos. I think I've been blessed with a summer birthday. So we would always have like a picnic table with birthday cake outside, and I would always have friends over at my house, and we would always play games, run around, balloons, ice
Nice.
cream, all the good things. Yeah.
All the good things. Well, I am a winter birthday, so my birthdays were the opposite. We were, I would have my birthday parties inside, and we would always just gather a group of friends. I remember some of my birthdays where there was this place called Plaster Fun House, one of those things where you
Yeah.
paint, a thing.
Oh, fun.
And then I remember we saw the Spice Girls movie for one of my birthdays.
Ooh.
But yeah, we would always gather a group and it was fun. And then when I was older, I would have a lot of my friends sleep over. So that's what we would
Okay.
do.
Got it. Fun. Yeah, so there's a hint of nostalgia here. There's a little emotion. There's hinting at something was a habit and it happened every year, right? There's a trend.
Mhm,
So, very
mhm,
interesting.
mhm.
Mhm.
Yeah, and then well, this is funny. I didn't even remember that I wrote this, but what was it like growing up with your brother? What fun things did you do together?
Well, we would always travel as a family when I was growing up. We would take trips. We went to
Mhm,
Washington D.C. We spent a lot of time in Los Angeles because my aunt lived there. So we would
mhm,
travel and we would stay in
mhm,
hotels and we would
mhm.
explore big cities in the U.S. So that was
Yeah.
always fun. Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, yeah. With my brother, well, we would play basketball and he would pretend to be different characters. He would always put on voices for our stuffed animals. We would do
That's
elections with the stuffed animals and
wow.
and also I remember when we would go to on vacation, if there was an indoor pool, he would always like carry me around and pretend that he was different people and they were competing for who was gonna have the best ride at the pool, so he would,
That's
like, always have a
hilarious.
different ride, and I would have to rate the ride and choose whose was the best.
Oh my god. You had so much fun. I think you had
Yeah.
more fun than I did as a kid with
Oh,
your sibling.
he's
um,
funny.
how
He's
much
he's
older is your brother than you?
he's, like, 6 years older than me.
That's the difference. So my brother and I are only 2.5 years, where
Okay.
you can get into the fighting zone when there's only 2.5 or 3 years. You
Mhm.
probably cleared that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, the
We
fighting
didn't
zone.
really fight. Like, we
Yeah,
just made fun of each other,
the
but we
age
didn't really
difference is
fight.
bigger. Yeah, yeah, yeah. When you have like 2 years, 1 year, 3 years,
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
fought for sure. My
Yeah,
brother and I
yeah,
fought a
yeah.
lot as kids. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Um, so, all right, fine. Well, here's one more. What is one of your favorite childhood memories?
oh my gosh. Well, for me, like I said, it's probably the travel. As
Mhm.
I
Yeah?
said, we would visit like my grandmother in Delaware and
Hmm.
going around with my parents, and just my dad's attitude towards travel was total adventure. Like the
Oh,
world is your oyster. So we would go
oh,
together and have little adventures. So it was that.
that's
What
nice.
about you,
That's
Michelle?
nice. Yeah, also travel, like, my aunt lived in New York, so we would go visit her,
Cool.
and I loved going to New York.
I
We
bet.
would also go to yeah. We would also go to this place called Willow Valley in Pennsylvania, and that we would go there with, like, for New Year's, and my birthday is around New Year's, so we would go there for like with I've told you about how we have family friends who we're very close with, so we would all go to this place for a few days, and it was just so much fun.
Oh, very cool. Good
Mhm.
memories. There's nostalgia here, right? We're using wood.
Yeah,
We're talking about habitual things, and there is definitely nostalgia in this
for
conversation. So,
sure.
yeah, cool.
Yeah, so, I mean, I think the main thing is if someone asks you a question and you're sharing about something that you did often in the past that maybe you're a little nostalgic for,
Yep,
try using wood instead of the past simple without wood, right? You wanna
I
focus
agree.
on throwing wood in there.
Mhm.
So I think that this definitely brings about some depth to talking about the past, something a little bit more than, "Oh, when I was little, I wrote a song," right? Like, I mean, it's just like a little more.
Yeah, and when I also think about the more standard way of saying,
Mhm,
like, her grandmother baked cookies for her every Saturday
mhm,
morning, that also
mhm.
feels like something you might write in a book, like a biography. So it
Mm.
becomes more
More
standard, maybe
personal?
more
Yes.
less personal. Yeah, a little
Right,
less
so wood is
personal.
a little bit more personal.
I think so, yeah.
It's like you're closer to
It's
it.
it's a very fine line, right? We're really just kind of getting into the real nuances of English
Yeah.
here, but I
Yeah.
think there is something to that difference there,
Yeah.
Michelle. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I
Mhm.
mean, this we're gonna do one last role play in a second, but we wanted to focus on this one unique way so you guys can
Yeah.
really remember it and use it very easily to connect with people right away.
Mhm. Love it. We need these nuances to connect. Otherwise,
Mhm.
we're just speaking like a dictionary, which no one connects with a dictionary. Right,
No
Michelle?
one connects with the dictionary, I love that. So, all right, let's do this role play. So we are childhood friends and we are sharing childhood memories.
All right. Remember when we were kids and we would run around the lake a million times?
Oh my goodness, yes, our parents would get so mad because we never wore shoes.
Yeah, I would go home and I'd have scrapes on my feet sometimes.
I would too.
Another example of nostalgia, telling
Mhm.
stories, remembering something that habitually happened in the past, sharing that becomes even more powerful. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. I mean, when you get together with your friends, like, from high school or from childhood, that is the coolest feeling. Just say, "Remember when we
Mhm.
would do this or we would do that?" There's nothing like that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's great. It's great.
Yeah.
So Lindsay, what's the takeaway for today?
Well, do we wanna go through the role play real quick, Michelle? Do
Oh,
we
we
have a
didn't go
second?
through role
Oh,
play. Oh my
usually I'm
goodness.
the one
I
that
do wanna
forgets the
go
role
through.
play.
Thank you. Oh, goodness gracious.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes.
So here we go. So what did you say first?
Alright, so I said, "Remember when we were kids and we would run around the lake?" Right? Run around. We would run around. Again, happened all the
Mhm.
time. We did it together. And then you said, "Oh my goodness."
Yes. And then I said our parents would get so mad because we
Yes.
never wore shoes.
Right? And then I said, "I would go home and I'd have scrapes." And I used wood twice here. Be careful,
Yeah, you
guys.
did I'd yeah, that's right.
That's
What
interesting.
one snuck in there.
Right, because it's unlikely that we would say, "I would go home and I would have scrapes." More likely,
Mhm.
we're gonna, kind of punctuate both of those or at least one of them to
That's
"I'd."
right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Mhm.
And then I said I would too.
That's so good. What's the takeaway? I think it's very clear the difference here.
This
Why
is
wood matters,
yeah.
right?
I mean,
Mhm.
this is a grammar episode, but it was so much more than a grammar episode, right? Like,
That's
y
right.
it was a lot just talking about how this grammar actually ties into the human connection. So I find those things to be really interesting in language learning. So we focused on one particular way. Our listener asked us about wood in the past, and we chose one way and we ran with it. And so I think this is great for connection, great for stories, great for talking about nostalgia.
Oh, super powerful way to build connection very quickly, and it doesn't mean you have to have this 25-year history with the person to use
No,
this kind of
no,
grammar. It could just be your coworker, your native speaking coworker. Remember a few years ago at work, we would always do this and now we don't do that
yeah,
anymore. That could also be powerful, right?
that's right.
So good
That's
stuff. I
good.
love that. Okay,
Well,
Michelle, time to jump
great
off the mic.
question.
We'll talk.
All right.
All right. Thanks to our listener for that question. And we'll be back on very soon. Take care.
All right. Bye, guys.
Bye.